So I'm just going to welcome our panellists. We have Robin Newman from Global Egg Donors. We have Carla Pincombe from Egg Donation Australia. And we have Jen Doon, who's a parent via Egg Donation. So I'll start off with some brief introductions. Robin Newman experienced the emotional and financial strain of fertility firsthand. After that experience, Robin travelled the world to rediscover a meaning and full direction, and the product of that was Global Egg Donors, her program. It's been around for 10 years and it has grown to include clinics in Barbados, Canada, India, Greece, and the USA. Robin now has an egg donation program in Australia to make things more accessible for Australians, which is very new and very exciting. And to date, Robin's program has facilitated 560 babies through surrogacy, and that includes Australian babies as well. Next to Robin is Carla. Carla is the moderator of Egg Donation Australia. Carla became an egg donor in 2013 after finishing breastfeeding her youngest child. Since then, she's donated over 9 times. 4 have had babies and 3 are currently pregnant.
That bio was from when I spoke 3 years ago.
Oh, really? Feel free to update. Yeah.
Sorry, I've got 8 recipient families now who have 11 babies between them and another one who's pregnant at the moment.
Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. Thank you. So Carla is also a surrogate herself, completing a traditional arrangement in Victoria in March. And Carla is also the moderator of Egg Donation Australia and has been helping Australians with their questions regarding egg donation. And then we have Jen. So Jen is a parent via Egg Donation in Australia. Jen and her partner over there and their little one. Hello. They live in Canberra, and after severe endometriosis, she had her ovaries removed and some eggs frozen. After a failed cycle using frozen eggs, Jen had a hysterectomy and needed help from an egg donor and a surrogate. With special help with an egg donor in New South Wales and a surrogate in Victoria, they now have a beautiful girl just there called Holly. Hello, Holly. Okay, so I've got lots of questions. So I'll probably do about 3 questions per person and we'll go around that way. And then at the end we can do question and answer. So have a think of any questions that you might have. Okay, so Robin, what does Global Egg Donors offer? What does your program offer?
First, I just wanted to correct that bio from 7 years ago. We've been around for 17 years now.
17.
We probably have 400 babies that we've helped with in Australia.
Wow.
Unfortunately, up until now, all those Australians have had to go overseas to use those known egg donors. But now we're able to bring those donors to you here in Australia. So that's one advantage of Global Egg Donors. They are... When I first thought about bringing donors here and realized that a donor could not get paid anything, I thought, oh, this is going to be tough. So we asked our 140 egg donors, and 70 came back and said, absolutely, I'd do this for free. No problem.
Wow.
So it's really exciting to us. And they're known. They get, 7 days here in Australia. We've had just 3 donations now, and it's been a wonderful experience for them. So that's basically what we offer. They come from all different countries. So far, it's been Iceland and South Africa, and I can't think of the other one. It was a Spanish country.
Cool. That was my next question. What countries? And my next question is, are they known or anonymous? And is there a choice between known and anonymous donors?
In Australia, if they're to donate here, they must be known.
Okay.
And about 95% of our donors love to be known. They really want to know, have some sort of relationship with the couple. But when they originally sign up with us, they know that they can be anonymous, but it's up to their decision and the couple's decision. And I love watching the progression of this, as very few donations ever happen now where it's anonymous, but that is an option.
Okay, fantastic. Great. Carla. So what is Egg Donation Australia?
Egg Donation Australia is a community-based support and information environment. We have an online forum. We provide information for people that are looking into egg donation and for people that either need a donor or that would like to be a donor. We provide support. People share stories, give support to each other. We have meetups in each of the main cities around the country so that people can get together and meet face to face. They're all just very casual, have a chat. A lot of people like having the opportunity to get together with other people that understand where they're coming from, and they can talk about pros and cons, compare clinics, compare specialists, ask questions of their specialists that they didn't know they needed to ask. So it's just about providing support, providing information, and then on top of that, recipients can also have a place to tell their story, which becomes like their advertisement where donors can get to know them and then offer to be their donor.
Cool. And do the IVF clinics have a lot of donors already, or do you have to go to Egg Donation Australia already?
No, there aren't a lot of egg donors just listed for the clinic. Clinic recruited donors are very few and far between. Because egg donation is quite an invasive procedure, generally the payoff that egg donors get is the relationship that you develop with the recipients. So usually you meet up first, you go to a clinic, you go through the procedure together, and then you have that lifelong bond going forwards. It's very unusual for a woman to go directly to a clinic and say, I want to donate my eggs, but I don't care who it's to. It does happen, but often if people are told they need an egg donor, they're told it's best to go and find your own, or we can put you on a list, but the likelihood is there's about a 3-year waiting list by the time we get through all the other people that are already waiting for eggs. So it's much better to find your own. Yeah. And this provides, Egg Donation Australia then provides a community for people to meet people outside of their family and friendship circle, so they can have that opportunity.
It helps a lot. What sort of women decide to become an egg donor?
Lots of different women for lots of different reasons. There are a lot of egg donors who have had family or friends that have suffered infertility, and they've seen their family and friends go through struggles and decided that, well, that's something I could do to help. Even if I can't help my own friend, I could help somebody else. Some people come to it specifically wanting to help a family member, a friend, a sister. So a lot of people join just to get information about the process, even though they've already got their recipient there. Some people just were particularly fertile themselves and have never experienced infertility, but have decided that that's something that they can share with other people, and so they join and look into it that way. There are also some donors who struggled themselves for various reasons, a lot that have polycystic ovaries and actually had trouble conceiving themselves and needed to go through IVF, and realised the heartache that they went through thinking they might not get a baby. But then when they responded so well to IVF, they realised, well, I can pay it forward now and use this to help other people avoid the same struggles that I've been through myself.
Wow, great. And Jen, was it difficult accepting that you'd need an egg donor?
It was at first. I was like still fairly young, but we were I guess having known for quite a long time, I'd probably have a lot of trouble. I guess, yeah, I could sort of accept that, well, I want a baby, and, you know, that's the way that we've got to go. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And how did you go about choosing a donor?
Well, at first we sort of were told, you know, oh, the best option for you guys, like, do you know someone? Or, you know, obviously I don't have a sister myself, and I think, like, I was a little bit younger, so I didn't have many friends that had children yet, and we kind of thought it would be a bit difficult to have someone really close to us that I'd see every day go through that. So we made our own Facebook page to just kind of get our story out there, because obviously you can advertise for an egg donor. So we ended up she sort of found us through advertising in a newspaper, actually.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
And how difficult or easy was that process?
Still fairly difficult. I guess because we just weren't sure, you know, how do you, like, ask someone to do this for you, like a total stranger. And, you know, we looked into even going overseas and finding one, and that was just getting a bit too out of reach financially. So, I mean, once we sort of got out in a few different places, our story and that, we did get a few very strange number of people call us in regards to the ad. But obviously then, we met our wonderful Sandy, who's, sort of found us, I think,
Great, fantastic. Robin, what does it mean to have a proven donor?
Different people have different, can you hear that? There it goes. Is it working now?
Oh, it's working.
Different people have different ideas on what proven means. Some people think it means that the donor's had a baby herself. I define it as someone who's donated eggs and they've made beautiful embryos.
Okay, great. And would you recommend using a proven donor? Would that be your recommendation?
No, not necessarily. With the risks of using an unproven donor, someone who's never donated before, has she been counseled well enough by the people that approved her as a donor? Does she really know what she's getting into? Because the risk is maybe she'll back out when she's partway through this. And the other risk is, how well is she going to produce eggs? Are you going to get 3? Are you going to get 30? And the hormone tests are fantastic now. I mean, if she's got a great AMH, you've chosen a very skilled doctor, I don't see any risk with the unproven donors.
Interesting. And what sort of information do intended parents receive to help them choose what donor to go with?
Initially, they go on our website. Oh, it went off again. Batteries. Initially, they go on our website and they look at the pictures, and there's a brief bit of information about them, and then they can receive a full profile of the donors. Oh, this is going in and out. They get a full profile of the donors, which has probably 10 photos and medical history, personality profile, their likes and dislikes. And then they usually speak to me, the couples do, and they find out more about their donation history, if they've had one, what time of year they're available to donate. And then if you like, you can Skype with the donor, and have face-to-face. So you get as much information as possible before she arrives at the clinic. You can meet her in person. We really encourage lifelong relationships.
Great. And what are your views on shipping eggs internationally rather than the donor travelling?
What I know is that it's not as successful, and you don't get as many for about the same price you pay as bringing a donor in for a fresh cycle.
Okay, great. Carla, is there any medical screening for donors via Egg Donation Australia?
Egg Donation Australia doesn't do screening ourselves. We're just a support community. Once an egg donor has offered to be a donor to a recipient couple, they would go to the chosen clinic, and then the clinic undertakes all of that screening, the counselling, the blood tests, genetic testing, all of those sort of things.
Okay, great. Is there a limit on the number of times that you can donate?
There's no limit on the number of times you can donate, but there is a limit on the number of families that you can help create. Unfortunately, that limit is different from state to state. Fortunately and unfortunately, I suppose. The limit goes by where the clinic is based, not where the donor lives and not where the recipients live. So New South Wales has the lowest limit in the country, which is 5 families. But if you live in New South Wales and you find a donor who has already created more than 5 families, you can all go to Victoria or Queensland where the limit's 10, and you can do the cycle there. So I am from Victoria where the limit is 10. I've now created 9 families, and I have had a couple from Sydney that have come to Melbourne, and we have cycled down there. I've also had another couple from New South Wales that flew me up to Queensland, and we all cycled up there. So it didn't matter that none of us were from Queensland. It's just unfortunate that the New South Wales legislation specific or the clinic policies say that the limit is 5. But within that 5 families, they can have as many children as they like. So you can donate multiple times to the same families. If you donate to a family and they they end up with no baby and no embryos, they don't count within your family limit. It's only live-born children to 5 different genetic combinations.
Oh, right. Interesting. And how many eggs might the average egg donor provide?
The average is, I mean, it varies a lot. In Australia, generally, the specialists aim for, they'll say 10 eggs is a good collection. Anywhere from 8 to 15 is generally what you would expect. We have had donors that have gone and had 1 or 2 eggs collected, and there have been donors that have had 40 eggs collected. But that, you know, has health risks, which is why they aim for a lower amount. It keeps the quality better. I've had egg collections myself of 4 eggs that have resulted in babies, and collections of 20 that have resulted in babies. So it varies a lot, but generally you will find they will aim for 8 to 15 or 8 to 12 eggs, and you'll most likely end up with, you know, 1 to 2 embryos at the end of that. So it's not, you're not going for big numbers. It's more, it's the quality over the quantity policy in Australia.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thanks. Jen, what sort of relationship did you have with your egg donor?
Well, we were total strangers. Got to know each other through Skype calls, on the phone, just chatting on Facebook, and I guess probably stalking each other a little bit on there.
Cool.
We ended up. Did we meet her first before we? I can't. Yeah, I think we met once before, and then like we did all the counselling together and all of that. But I mean, it was very much total strangers, but just all had a lot in common, and so became like friends quite quickly and just sort of clicked. So
Oh wow, that's awesome. And are you guys still in touch, or?
yeah, we are. So she's from Sydney, so we actually all caught up yesterday, which was great to be able for her to see Holly again. She hasn't seen her for a while, and we met her nephew, and so we're all we keep her updated with everything, but I guess we're not, you know, like in each other's pockets, or, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, nice. And what would you recommend to IPs for people that are just about to embark on an egg donation journey themselves at the moment?
I guess just don't be afraid to be open and honest about just what you're going through. Most people are very understanding. Thank you, sorry. Like, I was always a little bit afraid to tell people, but I've never really received any negative comments or anything like that. So, and it's like Egg Donation Australia, I met some lovely women that are going through a very similar thing. So,
And I think that's the beauty of being open about it, is we hear a lot of women saying, oh, my friend said something that was so insensitive and I'm so upset. And what, do they know you're doing IVF? Do they know you need an egg donor? It's not unusual for people to say, oh, so when are you guys going to have a baby? You can't be upset about them assuming you're going to have a baby if you've been doing IVF for 5 years and never told anybody. So I think the more open you are, the more it normalises it for everybody, the easier it's going to be for the donor-conceived kids as they grow up, and the more other people realise, hey, that's something I might need. I'm over 40, or we've struggled, or for whatever reason we need an egg donor. If you haven't talked about it and put it out there, some people just don't even know that it's a possibility.
Yeah, definitely.
And you get the support that you need then from your family and your friends. They can't support you if they don't know that you need it.
Yeah. And people sometimes say something, but they haven't thought about what they're saying.
No.
They just say something. Sorry, I have a lot of pregnancy hormones. I can pretty much cry on cue. Robin, can donors start their medical cycles before they travel?
Yes, most donors do start their hormone injections before they travel. The treating doctor where the clinic is in charge of their entire protocol. And so they will arrive at the clinic usually on day 7 of injections for their first scan, and it continues from there. And they usually have at least 3 blood tests prior to getting on the airplane, which the doctor gets the same day results.
Oh, fantastic. Very nice. And can donors come to Australian IVF clinics?
Yes! Yes, that's just happened.
That's exciting. Yeah. When did that start? When was it able for that to
The
happen?
first donation was in February at IVF Australia.
Oh, wow. So pretty new. It's exciting. Makes it more accessible for Australians. And then my last question for you, Robin. What sort of costs are IPs looking at when they're looking at egg donation from someone abroad?
It's an average of about 15,000 US, and the clinic price will be adjusted downwards slightly because the donors do a lot of their blood work in their home country, and they also receive all their medication in their home country. So you need to speak with your clinic to figure out how the two of us will combine our fees so you don't get double charged for anything.
Cool. And that's all my questions. Is there anything else that you'd want to share, Robin, with everyone?
Just our donors are usually doing 15 to 20 eggs, and you get all of those eggs. You're not cut off at 10. And just good luck on your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find the doctors here in Australia are excellent, and there's many excellent ones overseas as well. But something about being comfortable at home with your own clinic is really nice.
Yeah.
So thank you for welcoming us.
Thanks for coming. Any extra things before I throw to questions, Carla, that you'd like to share? No? Okay, cool. And before I throw to questions, anything else you'd like to add, Jen? No? Okay. Don't be shy. Usually when I say, does anyone have a question, no one asks anything. Someone ask a stupid... Yes, thank you. Oh, we've got a mic here. Very fancy mic, my goodness.
Oh,
Wow.
all right then.
How does that work? Maybe you have to roll it like a dice.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. Regarding strangest mic.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Okay. Just regarding the cost for people that have insurance in the US, whether it's for the egg donor and also for the intended parent. How does that work? Does that just depend on the insurance companies? Because I can never understand US medical health insurance.
And why are we discussing U.S. insurance? Are you American?
I live in the US.
Pardon?
I live in the US.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It depends on what type of plan, actually. And it's usually only a very unique plan where all the money gets put into a medical fund that you can spend on anything. But it probably won't cover a foreign egg donor. But you need to look into that
But a
plan.
US egg donor?
Pardon?
Perhaps a US egg donor?
We have a few of those, not many.
Okay.
And it really depends on your plan. I'm not that familiar with all the insurance. I just know that very few people are able to use their insurance.
For that sort of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Surely someone else has a question. Ah, there we go.
For you, Carla, what drives you to be an egg donor so many times? And then also, because your children have seen you do it so many times, do you think that they will potentially do that in the future? Seeing the pay it forward effect, essentially?
So, this one. The reason I kept doing it, I think, was because I enjoyed the joy of my recipient so much. I went into it just thinking it was something I would do once, and it was so smooth and it was so wonderful and joyous. And here I was seeing someone else become a family, and it was amazing. And so I did again, and then they were pregnant, and I did it again. And so for me, it was just a case of I can do it, so I might as well do it. And there was no reason for me to stop, except for the family limit. So I enjoyed it. I've created a lovely extended family. Most of my recipients, a lot of them have met each other. A lot of them have met each other's kids. And so, all of their kids are related. We're all genetic half siblings. So for me, it was just about, if I have the opportunity to help someone else, then why wouldn't I do it? As far as my kids, I've been very open with them from the start. So they were 1, 3 and 5 when I started donating, and they're 6, 8 and 10 now. And they've known all about it. They've met all of my recipients, they've met all of the babies, and their relationships that they have with the recipients are different. All of my recipients have different relationships with us. There are some where our relationship is really purely based on the donation. We text occasionally, we catch up once or twice a year, and that's really only to keep in contact for the sake of the child that they have. Whereas there are others who I'm very close friends with. We catch up regularly, we have coffee dates. I was a traditional surrogate for one of my families, and I babysit her once a week. So it's a very different relationship at the other end of the scale. But as far as my kids, I've always explained to people that this is something that I can do that doesn't have a great impact on me, but makes a huge impact on somebody else. And if I can help, why wouldn't I? And I guess initially I didn't realise how much of that my kids were taking in until 2 years into doing donations. My eldest daughter one day saw a child on TV that had no hair, and she asked what had happened, and I explained that this child would have had some sort of illness and the medicine made their hair fall out. And at the time my daughter had hair that went down past her bottom, and she said to me, well, I've got extra hair that I don't need. Maybe I could give that to somebody who needs it. And so within a month of that, our hairdresser came and cut her hair off, and we donated it to a company that makes wigs for children who have lost their hair due to either alopecia diseases or cancer treatments. And she's done it twice now. So after she did it once, she grew her hair again. You have to have at least 30 centimetres of length to be able to donate. So she's now done it twice, and my second daughter has been growing hers a lot slower, but she is getting hers cut off in July, when it will have reached that point. So that was a lesson. That was a very unintended benefit. I hadn't intended for egg donation to become a lesson in giving for my children, but because they've been so involved, that's what they've picked up from it, and they've taken that on board. They have talked about it themselves, that one of them have said, if I decide that I don't want to have a husband, maybe I can use a sperm donor. And,
Wow.
Someone else has said, I don't know if I want to have kids, but, maybe I could have a baby for somebody else. So they're very open now to all of those experiences. I have two of my recipient families are gay couples, so they're now very comfortable with the idea of gay couples having kids, and it's quite normal that the two men would want to be married and have a baby together, and that someone else would carry it and someone else would provide the eggs, and it's not unusual for them. And I think just as Jen was saying, that you need to be open about your infertility journey, being open about what I'm doing as well is then normalising it for my own children. So if they grow up and their friends say, I've got an egg donor, or I was born by a surrogate, my kids aren't going to flinch.
Have we got time for one more question? No, we're out. So if you did want to have a one-on-one chat, they'll be around at the break, and Robin's also just on the table to the side near the catering table, and she'll be around if you want to have a one-on-one conversation. But what an amazing panel of ladies. Please